The top stories: harmonization of regulations said to be vital to increase the only 13% intra-African trade. And Ethiopian Airlines Group CEO says new airport will boost its connectivity and promote Addis Ababa as aviation and air transport hub. Ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to EBC World with me, Shifara Olakawe, and thank you for watching us. Now, Ethiopia's ambassador to Italy, Damitu Hambisa, engaged in discussion with Eleni Apeitu, director of the Economic, Climate and Cultural Diplomacy Department at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Cyprus. The conversation focused on enhancing bilateral ties, particularly in trade and investment. The two sides underscored the existing long-time relationship in pharmaceutical sector and agreed to diversify the economic relationship. To this end, the two sides agreed to jointly organize a pre-investment visit to Ethiopia to foster the economic relation of the two countries. That's according to the Ethiopian Embassy in Rome. The Transport and Logistics Minister asserted that to achieve national growth through the implementation of local economic reforms, Ethiopia's logistics and railway sectors must be upgraded to meet global standards. A conference on the reform being undertaken in the logistics and railway sector is taking place in attendance of the Transport and Logistics Minister Alamusume, the Finance State Minister Samereta Suasu, and representatives from international institutions along with other senior officials. During the discussion, Minister Alamu emphasized the importance of aligning the logistics and rail systems with international benchmark as part of the homegrown economic reform agenda. A study examining stakeholder engagement in these sectors is also being addressed at the forum.
በጣም ገብተን አንድ ቀን ሁለት ቀን አንወጣም፣ አራት አምስት ቀን እዛ አድረን ነው።
ይሄንን ከኔ ጋር አቋርጣችሁ እዛ መድረስ ከቻላችሁ በተፈጥሮ ደን ውስጥ የተሸሸገውን ውብ ሐይቅ አብራችሁ ትመለከታላችሁ።
እጅግ እምቅ ተፈጥሮ ሀብት ያለ አካባቢ ነው።
ሐይቁ ዳርቻን የምናድረው ምሽቱን እሳት እናነዳለን፣ ጥሩ ጊዜ ይኖረናል።
Welcome back. Now, the Italian ambassador to Ethiopia, Agostino Palesi, says Italy has been instituting multifaceted diplomatic and economic cooperation with Ethiopia. The country is one of its strategic partners. The ambassador also pointed out that the bilateral ties between the two countries are enduring, established with economic, political, and social sectors. Shagamat was more on that from the Ethiopian news agency.
Ethiopia and Italy have long-standing multifaceted diplomatic and economic cooperation. Talking to the Ethiopian news agency, Italian ambassador to Ethiopia, Agostino Palese, stressed that Italy is working to take the current diplomatic and economic cooperation with Ethiopia to new heights. He also underscored that Italy's engagement in Ethiopia aims at accelerating the economic development and job creation.
We spend in almost 3 years more than 300 million euros in Ethiopia in many sectors. Ethiopia is one of the pivot, country in the Piano Mattei plan. We are making a big project in Jimma. We are making a nice project on the Shire Hospital to refurbish the Shire Hospital and to give a new structure to that hospital. We are working in Gondar as well. We are a program for, an hospital in Gondar. We are many projects in Oromia, in Afar, all over the country.
The ambassador also stated that Ethiopia and Italy have good bilateral relationship, adding there is huge potential to further elevate the ties.
For Croatia, we are implementing a big project that we finance almost 90 million euros in Croatia project that is building by Italian in Pregilo. So we are in many sectors. Even the Chebera River, we are spending 10 million euros.
The ambassador further reiterated that Italy is engaged in various sectors, including health, education, among others, all over the country, describing Ethiopia as one of its strategic partners. It is to be recalled that Ambassador Palese recently said that Ethiopian Airlines has played a irreplaceable role in connecting people to people and economic cooperation not only with Ethiopia, but also with the entire continent of Africa over the past 60 years.
The tourism minister, Ethio-Italian, says cultural tourism plays an important role for regional integration in East Africa. The Oromia Tourism Week is underway in Addis Ababa, featuring panels, exhibition, and other cultural activities. Participants from different neighboring countries are also part of this event. Johannes Fantown has compiled the following.
The month of September in Ethiopia is a month of tourism. According to Ethio-Italian, Minister of the Ministry of Tourism in Ethiopia, the month has huge capacity for tourism development in the nation. Approached by ABC at the exhibition organized for the Oromia Tourism Week, Minister Nasisi applauded the value of cultural tourism for regional integration.
በምስራቅ አፍሪካ በዚህ በቀጣናችን የኢኮኖሚ ትስስር የህዝብ ለህዝብ ትስስር በጣም አስፈላጊ ነው።
People-to-people integration in East Africa is very important. The countries in this region are interconnected. We Ethiopians also have connection with our neighbors through blood and culture. Tourism has great role in integrating our region. Last week, our ministry conveyed IGAD ministers and launched the IGAD Tourism Master Plan and announced our tourism champion. The participation of representatives in the tourism sector of the region adds more on our regional integration.
አሁንም መምጣታቸው ትስስሩን ከማጠናከር አንፃር ትልቅ ፋይዳ አለው።
In the Tourism Week organized by the Oromia Tourism Commission, tourism sector representatives of different neighboring East African countries are participating. Speaking to ABC, these participants shared their view on the importance of cultural tourism for unifying the region.
Global travelers leave their destinations to come visit tourism attractions. That's one. That is the traditional way to do the nature-based tourism, but currently the trends are moving different. Mostly travelers have been everywhere, and right now culture plays another critical role. They want to experience the authentic offering that a destination can provide. Lions here in Ethiopia, lions in Rwanda, lions in Kenya or Tanzania or Uganda, they are the same lions, but culture is authentic. that makes any destination stand out?
Personally, for me, I believe if you are not very cognizant or if you don't understand your culture, you are basically baseless, because culture informs who we are. It actually gives us a sense of identity. So even as we are trying to promote tourism, meaning we want people to come to our different countries and experience our culture, we ourselves, as the indigenous communities in those different countries, need to embrace culture first. The one thing I really love, and it stands out from when it comes to Ethiopia, and even when you mention Ethiopia in any part of the world, is the strong sense of culture they have. I have had a chance to experience it here, from the food, to the people, to the dressing, to the dances, to some of the festivals that I attended 2 weeks ago. And I personally feel that with culture, what happens is you get to understand, it's basically a way of life. You get to understand why Ethiopia is Ethiopia.
The participants also underscored the need for intensifying efforts to integrate East Africa through culture and people-to-people relations.
This kind of tourism week showcasing culture is important, but also now let us look at making it bigger. We have 5 countries this year, growing from just 2 or 3 countries over the previous years. Let us look at making it even huge. Next year, bring South Latin American culture or European culture, but mostly East African culture. For next year, we should aim at seeing it growing bigger with more international participants.
East Africa is very rich when it comes to culture, and we can actually package it in a way that we sell it as a tourism product, and that adds a lot of value to each one of us. When it comes to culture and regional integration, there is no better way someone can understand you if they don't encounter your way of life. That is the best way to understand someone. So when I come to you with something and you react to it in a certain type of way, I would understand it on the basis of, I understand this is how, and you see, culture is our way of life. It's how we do things every day, from when we are born to when we grow up. So basically, I feel what culture will do is give us a better understanding of how our brothers and sisters live beyond the borders, and it will create a level of cohesiveness so that when we sit together, we don't see each other as Ethiopian or Kenyan, we see each other as brothers and sisters.
The African Continental Free Trade Area, AFCFTA, has been touted as a game changer owing to its potential to significantly increase investment flow, with the composition and direction shifting away from natural resources toward labor-intensive manufacturing as corporations take advantage of economies of scale. World Bank estimates show that the AFCFTA could raise Africa's export to the rest of the world by 32% by 2035 and catalyze foreign direct investment, which is expected to increase by between 111% and 159%. Talking to EBC World, Executive Secretary at African Refiners and Distributors Association, Anibur Kraga, disclosed that in order to increase the only 13% intra-African trade, harmonization of regulations need to be put in place. Tigasternisa reports.
Thank you so very much, sir, for availing yourself for this interview. Executive Secretary Anibur Kraga. African Continental Free Trade Area, AFCFTA, is a platform which is expected to lift Africans intertwined in relations to trade, or be it free movement of people, for multifaceted reasons. So what practical steps should be taken to see prosperous, united, strong Africa in relation? It could be in relation to energy consumption.
This is a question I'm very excited to support. In fact, one of my favorite quotes is by Thomas Edison, the inventor. He invented electricity, and he says, if we did all we were supposed to do, we would literally astound ourselves. And ACFA really is a driver for that. Just some background, just to build on what you said. So ACFA, the excitement is all about 1.3 billion people, a 3.4 trillion GDP, and all of that. That's aspirational. How do we get there? For us in the downstream, refining, distribution, marketing, petroleum products and sale, that is definitely an economic driver, right? But the reality is, when we look at where we are in Africa, intra-African trade is only 13%. When you look at Asia, it's 55%. The EU, 63%. How do we get there? The single biggest thing is harmonization of regulation. I did mention earlier all the different specs we have across the continent. If we were to do something as simple as, well, it's not simple, but take on the initiative of having harmonized Pan-African specs, suddenly you have a single market for petroleum products with harmonized specs. So what we're working at ARDA, and we've been working with the African Union Commission and Her Excellency Dr. Amani Abu Zaid, who's the African Union Commissioner for Infrastructure and Energy, gave a very wonderful speech about that, about how to drive intra-African oil and energy markets and all of that. We're working together on, and we've been working with them over the last couple of years, of putting in place a single harmonized clean fuel specs. We're calling it AFRI 6 or 10 ppm sulfur specs for across the continent. When that happens, you can have a lot of efficiency, economies of scale, and that can be a signal to investors that you can look at Africa as a single market, or at least in regions, you will have some harmonization. The next level, of course, is to ensure that, if not Pan-African, at least at the Regional Economic Commission or REC level, you have some coordination. For example, the East African Commission went to 50 ppm, a lower sulfur spec, years ago. ECOWAS is trying to do that. SADC is trying to do something different. So in our minds, we're standing to say for the African downstream, let's continue to drive and hopefully reach a conclusion soon with the African Union Commission where we can have harmonized regulations that will truly open up Africa under ACTFA and allow us to have trade across borders. When you look at what is required from an infrastructure development perspective, I mentioned we're in Ethiopia, landlocked, you need products coming through the port of Djibouti, then they have to come by truck. We need to have investments in better ports. We need to have investments in rail, in pipelines, all of that stuff. When you start to have multiple countries, if you don't have harmonized regulations, you start to build inefficiencies and issues with that will not enhance investments. So in my mind, the biggest thing we can do for that, for my sector, is harmonized regulations. I'm looking forward to working with the African Union Commission and Dr. Abu Zaid to truly deliver on that for the continent.
Anwar Karaga, Executive Secretary for African Refiners and Distributions Association, ARDA, we truly appreciate you for availing yourself for this interview. Thank you just so very much, sir.
Thank you very much, and I look forward to coming back to Addis Ababa very soon.
And finally, in business, Ethiopian Airlines Group CEO Mesfin Tasso says Ethiopian Airlines' new airport will boost its connectivity and promote the capital Addis Ababa to become an aviation and transport hub. It is to be recalled that Ethiopian Airlines Group has inked a technical advisory and consultancy contract with Dar Al Handasa Consultants, a partner with the world-renowned signature architect Zaha Hadid, to embark on the design and supervision of a mega airport city in Bishoftu. This state-of-the-art airport city, located just 40 kilometers from Addis Ababa Bole International Airport, is poised to revolutionize air travel in Ethiopia. In an exclusive interview with the Ethiopian news agency, Ethiopian Airlines Group CEO Mesfin Tasso said that the primary objective is not to get recognition to promote air transport in Africa and to make Addis Ababa the hub of passenger and cargo transport. Have a listen to this.
Construction of this airport will help us to provide better connectivity for our passengers who transit through Addis. And it will also help us to enhance connectivity within Africa, in line with the African continental free trade area. So it will boost air transport in Africa and in Ethiopia.
Ethiopian is the leading airline in Africa today, tirelessly working toward improving and enhancing its customer service and experience both on ground and air.
Ethiopian Airlines today flies to 139 cities around the world. These are international destinations, and we wanted to enhance that to 207 by 2035 European calendar. Means we have to add new destinations every year until we reach there. By doing that, we wanted to enhance our reach. We wanted to enhance connectivity using Addis Ababa still as a hub.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear viewers, you have been watching EBC World. Now a quick recap of the top stories. Harmonization of regulations said to be vital to increase the only 13% intra-African trade. And Ethiopian Airlines Group CEO says new airport will boost connectivity and promote Addis Ababa as aviation and air transport hub.